And a very warm welcome from Tahiti in French Polynesia. We're sitting at Tahiti Faa'a International. That's FAA apostrophe A, I believe. We're in the BlackSquare analog overhaul KingAir 350, and we're going to be flying to Bora Bora. So that is ICAO codes NTAA, November Tango Alpha Alpha, to November Tango Tango Bravo. So let's just zoom in. I mean, it's absolutely splendid, right? It's a thing of beauty around here with all these lovely water masks. And we're going to follow a departure off of runway 04 and then fly over Hia and then across to the west into Bora Bora, which is just exceptional. It's just an area of outstanding beauty. Lots of water, of course, but you know, if you want to see these sights, I guess that's the price you have to pay. Anyway, let's get into the aircraft. So as I said, we're in the black box, wherever it might be, on the apron somewhere. There it is. I've hidden it away somewhere. Okay, there it is. Our black box. Sorry, not black box. Our BlackSquare B350 analog overhaul. So, without further ado, let's get into the aircraft, and we'll begin as usual with the flight briefing. So here we got Navigraph charts. Here's November Tango Alpha Alpha. As I said, we've got a departure to follow from runway 04, which is the MOSMA for Echo, and that takes us northeast of Moorea, and it's a lovely, delightful little airport here. And we get to waypoint MOSMA, then across to ORAMA, then Hia, and then across to well, I can't remember what that one is, Raiatea. And this is actually already on the arrival, the star, into Bora Bora. And when we get to Bora Bora, we've got this beautiful vista, these lovely water masks, these fabulous hotels with all the little, overwater chalets, huts, where you dangle your legs into water drinking a cocktail. How fabulous that is. And then you get to Bora Bora, then we're going to do the NDB approach, the NDB Yankee, transitioning at Bora Bora, which I think is just an NDB on the field. And yeah, should be a very pleasant, very scenic flight. Lots of jewels in this crown, but there is lots of water to see as well. But that's, the price you gotta pay. So let's have a look at the IFR chart. I think there are there's no airway that we're on, I don't think, here. No, so we could have done this, but we're not going to. Let's not worry about the fineries of having to. In fact, that airway is going the other way anyway. So we could have flown off to Vate. This was generated by Navigraph charts. So heck, we'll follow it. We'll follow it blindly in good faith. So SimBrief has given us block fuel of 1,150. And I'm just going to go with standard weights, the default weights of the aircraft, so we don't faff around too much. So 1,150, we'll get that loaded now. So 1,000, so 819. Now it's high because the alternate might be all the way back where you started. So anyway, there we go, 1,147. That'll do nicely. And I'm going to run with the default weights, but you can change the passenger weights. And our CFG is just within, so we're just going to move it back a tiny bit. There we go. Okay, so we're good. And let's get going, I guess. So we've got the GTN 750 by PMS installed. and we'll use that because it's nice and easy to program. So we'll start by hiding the yokes, and if the aircraft doesn't start in the configuration you left it in, which it should, you've got these controls here to the right of the co-pilot's yoke, and that's how you change the configuration of the avionics, and it does it on the fly. It's very, very straightforward and really rather excellent. I don't think we can do it with this one. Anyway, there we go, that's what we need. We're going to fly at 18,000 or flight level 180. I'm going to dial that in now, and to select between increments of 1,000 and 100, you just press the altitude knob there. Okay, so you can easily select thousands or 100s by pressing that button. Okay, so flight level 180. In fact, let's just check whether that is a flight level. So we'll go to Navigraph charts, go to the departure, and we've got takeoff from runway 04, so that's a heading of 041. Then it's a left turn at or above 500 feet, direct to Bobix, and then it's a right turn to MOSMA at or above 2100. Now this thing climbs like a rocket, so we won't have any issues, but we're going to stay low initially because we're just going to make it a little bit more interesting for ourselves. We're going to assume there's lots of other air traffic, so we're going to stay at, say, 6,000 feet until MOSMA, and then we get to see this island in all its glory as well. So in fact, let's change this to 6,000. There we go, 6,000. Okay, so let's get the aircraft fired up. So the first thing to do is the battery. We want to get our nav light, and we're going to fire up the engines straight away. So we get the beacon light on and the nav light. We're going to do number 2 first, so we're going to do fuel pumps, and you can hear them. Switch off the master and caution lights, and we just check that the propellers are fully forward, that the throttles are in idle, and that the condition levers are fully back. Okay, so first thing to do is to put the starter on for number 2, and we're looking for 12 or above. 12 is the minimum to introduce fuel, so we've got 12, 14, so we can put fuel in now. Bring the condition lever to halfway along its travel to low idle, and then you watch it's peaking very high. I don't quite know why it does it like that. Maybe it's too hot. So the next, when we start number 1, what we're going to do, we're going to let it get to maximum well, I can't remember what the term is. So you put the starter on and you let it get to its maximum revolutions, then you introduce fuel. We'll give that a go. Right, so let's switch the starter off. Let's put the generator on for number 2, on and reset. Okay. Now we can do number 1. So put the starter on for number 1. So we're going to let it get to maximum motoring, I think they call it. Maximum motoring. Okay, so this needle will stop at some point. There we go, about 21, 22. Now I can put the fuel into condition lever going halfway along, and we'll just see whether the ITT peaks well a lot less than it did before. So maybe that is the way to do it in these hot conditions, hot and humid conditions. Right, so we'll switch off the ignition. We'll put on the generator for number 1 and reset. Put our inverters on. Oops. Alright. And we put our master power on. That's all the avionics on now. I'm going to press B to get the QNH. There we go, 1014. And I'm going to set the heading bug to 041, which if you remember, was the heading from the departure, 041. So this is the MOSMA for Echo, which we'll get dialed in a moment. So 041 is our initial heading. Oops. If you press this knob here, it centers the heading bug to your current heading. I accidentally pressed it then. Never mind. No, I didn't do the fuel pump for number 1. So let me do that now. So we've got about 041 there on the heading. Let's get the fuel pump on for number 1. Okay. And let's get the flight plan in. Okay, so the GTN home screen, press flight plan. It knows where we are, so it just needs the destination. And that is November Tango Tango Bravo, which is Motu. Enter. Then we want the first waypoint. So let me just take Navigraph charts off the screen. I'll see it and you won't. We're not going to worry about airways. We're just going to go to the waypoints. So the first one is MOSMA, M-O-S-M-A. It knows it's in Tahiti, so we press that. Then we do another waypoint, which is going to be ORAMA, O-R-A-M-A, Oscar Romeo Alpha Mike Alpha, also in Tahiti. And then the next one going to be Huahine, which is HHN, so Hotel November. It's found duplicates, so press enter, and that's the one we want there, the top one. And that's where we pick up the star for the arrival. So what we need to do now is we'll enter the departure details. We click on Tahiti Faa'a Airport, NTAA, November Tango Alpha Alpha. Go to load procedure, and we want the departure. And that is departure again, and it is the MOSMA for Echo. There it is. MOSM for Echo. And then we load it. Okay, so that's now in. We scroll down to Bora Bora Motu. Then we do load procedure. And now we want the arrival, which is, click arrival again, which is the Ru 1 Bravo. And the transition we want is, well, it's not offering a transition, we just press load. Okay, and then we scroll down again to Bora Bora load procedure, and this one we want the approach, which is the, click approach again, NDB runway 11 Yankee, and it is the Bravo Bravo transition, which is the default anyway, and we'll brief on that on the way up. So scroll to the top of the flight plan, there we go, and we can press the back button, go to the home screen, go to map, and wait for it to draw. So it's we'll zoom out a little bit, so it's a heading of 041, then it's a left turn. You can just drag them out, the map around, it's fantastic. Then to Bobix, and then to MOSMA. So back to recenter the map. Okay, so got lots of configuration to do in the aircraft. So we want to put the bleed air on, so we do left bleed air on, right bleed air on. We want to set the pressurization panel, so we move the cabin altitude to the altitude you want to fly at, which in our case is flight level 180 plus 500 or plus 1000. So let's move this knob here, and we're reading the inner scale, which is the aircraft altitude. The outer scale is the cabin altitude, so we want the inner scale. and we want to go to flight level 180, maybe just slightly higher. So we're getting there now. So if I can't quite zoom any more than that. So at the moment, just need to go. That's 180, and that's about 185 there. Okay, so we're good. Lovely. Then we can do two buttons here, which is the rudder boost and the electric trim. They both need to go on. We'll give ourselves a squawk. So we're going to go. Oops, already on Alt, so we have to go to standby. Then we have to change the numbers. So I want 2526, you know what I'm like. 25, then we do 26 on the smaller part of the knob. 2526, and we can go to on, and actually we might as well put it straight to altitude recording. Okay, lots of things flashing here, so it tells us that the oxygen's not armed. So we have to click this green lever here. That's the oxygen. Then we need to do, well, we probably don't need the stall and pitot heats because it's pretty warm. But we're going to climb up to flight 180. It'll be a bit cooler up there, and there is some cloud around, so we'll put them on. Ideally, we should do those as we're moving, so we'll do those in a short while. So those to follow. Next thing we need to do is to set the auto feather and the ignition to on. We need to change the GTN to GPS mode. At the moment it's on VOR localizer, and you do that by pressing the CDI button here, or you can press this button here, which is the same thing. That sets it to GPS mode. See? Same thing. Okay, so what have we got? External power flashing. I don't know why it does that. Ignition is on, and low propeller pitch. Well, that's because we haven't got the engines running at full. We're still on low idle. If you try and taxi with high idle, honestly, you will break the speed limits, so they won't be very pleased with you. So we taxi on low idle. What I'm going to do next, I'm just going to center the pointer here. There is a way to slave it, and I've really never quite been sure how to do that. So I'm just going to move that pointer so it's aligned with the little red marker here, which is actually the GPS track. Here we go. And I'm going to click on the autopilot repeater panel here, because they're very kindly giving us a duplicate of the autopilot panel, which is down here on the pedestal, which for a simmer is quite awkward to get to. Okay, so they very kindly replicated it up here. Okay, so one stage of flap. So we go flap 1. Flap indicators here. So set and checked. And I think we're good to taxi. The next thing we can do is the health of the engine you can determine by moving the weather radar knob to the nav mode up here. I could just reset let's make it interesting, left engine condition. I've obviously done something wrong somewhere along the line, because it's telling me that they're a little bit worse for wear, and I haven't really done many hours in it, so I'm not an expert. And if you go up, you can get to the failure modes, but we're not going to worry about those. That's just a step too far for me, I'm afraid. So we're just going to go on the weather radar, in case that there is some weather ahead. Right then, so just as a reminder, it's a takeoff from 04 at or above 500 feet. It's a left turn inbound Bobbix. Then it's a right turn on a bearing of 304 to MOSMA at or above 2,100. Okay, and we're going to stay at 6,000, just pretending that there are airliners above us, but also really secretly, so we can get a good view of beautiful island ahead of us, Moorea. Okay, so next thing we need to do is just go to the overhead. We're going to switch some lights on in the overhead and put all the rear stats to maximum, and I need to put the seatbelt and passenger signs on, even though it's an executive aircraft. Yeah, they've still got to abide by the rules. So there we go. Fasten seatbelts and no smoking can come on. I'm going to put the pilot flight instruments on and put the master panel lights on. There we go. So everything is now nicely illuminated, and we're good now for taxi. Let's get the taxi light on. So what I'm going to do, taxi to the, well, we're pointed at an angle on the slant, so we're going to go left here, and then we're going to take the, oops, let's press the altitude knob there by mistake, 1014 set. Okay, so parking brake can come off, and you can give it a little bit of power, and you steer on the ground with the rudder pedals. Okay. So what we could do while we're doing all that, as we turn, let's turn onto the yellow brick road here, and it's ball right, indicator left, AI is horizontal. These are just old PPL checks. Follow the yellow brick road, and then we're coming up to a right turn. I'm expecting the ball to go left, the indicator to go right, and the AI to remain stable. So right turn, so indicator right, ball left, AI stable. Okay, so we know that these instruments are working in the right sense, and we come up to the hold here. So we will come to a stop just to check everything is in order. Okay, so just, oops, that was rather an abrupt turn. Okay, we'll just come to a stop here. Okay, so flaps are down, taxi light is on, so let's get the landing light, strobe light, and we can get our pitot and stall warning vane on, and now we can line up, so we're clear on the left, we're clear on the right. That's cruise ship there, look. Okay. And again, I'll only put the condition levers up to maximum when we're lined up, because otherwise it's very hard to control on the ground. Okay, now we're doing an intersection takeoff. There's more than enough runway. And we're going to rotate at 95. Okay, so we're lined up. Brakes are coming on. So condition levers. I'll go from low idle to high, and you can hear them spooling up. You can see them spooling up. Okay, so then we climb on indicated airspeed mode. Around 160, 170 will be fine. It's all going to happen very quickly. I'm going to go to nav mode. So I've got my flight director there. Okay, and I will put the yaw damper on, and it's shown here, and we are good to go. So I'm just going to release the brakes. I should get the timer going, so let's get a timer. So here we've got elapsed time. Press control and that will start the timer. Hide the yoke. So brakes are off. I'm going to feed in the power very slowly, just nice and steadily. You can see the torque. We want to make sure we don't exceed any limits. So power is coming in. So just keeping them at 100% or less. There we go. Trying to keep that centre line. We're already at 80 knots. 90 knots we have. 95 and rotate. keeping that center line. Right, positive rate, so gear can come up, and now I can follow my flight director, and it's bearing left, so put indicated airspeed mode on. Okay, so the flight director is going to now help me maintain that speed and the right bank angle for this initial turn. So I'm just keeping that flight director nicely centered. Okay, and we're just leveling off, I think, rounding out the turn shortly. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to put the autopilot on. Autopilot is on. Nav mode, just check it's in nav mode. Okay, indicated airspeed mode. So now we can clean up. So flaps can come up. Flaps coming up. And now we can do climb power. So I'm going to bring the props back to... As I bring the props back to there, which is about 1650, something like that. I'm just going to bring the torque back a little bit because I don't want to be exceeding any limits. Okay, and because I pressed indicated airspeed mode, there we go, it's going to stick at the speed when I press that button. So we're climbing now at 160 at 2,500 feet per minute, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. So let's center this so it's always pointing in the right sense. We're just coming to a waypoint turn. That's so. There we go, we're just turning very briefly. Right, coming up to altitude. And I don't want to go too fast, and really I want to have a quick look at that island, so we're going to yeah, it's all happening all at once. Let's have a quick look at the island. Look at that, how beautiful. Look at that, there's the airport down there. It's stunning, isn't it? Look at that, looks real. Okay, let's get back inside. Okay, so we're just leveling off at 6,000. Let's stay at around 200 knots. Just going to bring the power back. Okay. And what did we say? We would stay at, I think, to MOSMA. So our next waypoint, I think, is going to be MOSMA. Oops, no. Let's do that again. Yeah, MOSMA. Okay, so just brought the power back. What are we now? Just about. We're looking at torque, so about just under 60% torque. That's holding us nicely at 200. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, let's go back inside. So here on the HSI we've got minutes, nautical miles to get to the next waypoint, which I think is MOSMA, so it's 5 miles to run, and TTG is time to go, so it's 1.2 minutes to get to MOSMA. Now you can change this, you can change it to your ground speed, 238 knots, and the elapsed timer, which we've got the elapsed timer running on the yoke, which is 5 minutes and 40 seconds. There's another one here where you start and stop it with this little round dot here. Okay, elapsed timer. So let's go to speed. Let's stick on speed. So 240 knots. So there's MOSMA. When we get to MOSMA, we're going to climb up to flight level 180. So let's dial that in. And if you remember, we climb on indicated airspeed mode. Okay. So what I need to do is to pitch up. And we're going to pitch up when we get to MOSMA. In fact, it's just turning the corner, anticipating that turn now. So we've got, I think we're already on the next waypoint. In fact, yes, we are, because it's gone magenta the other side of MOSMA. So we need to pitch up. So we'll go vertical speed, and then we do up. We'll do it maybe 15 clicks. Each one is 100 feet per minute. So there we go, 1500 feet per minute. Oh, there we go, 1600 feet per minute. The speed will reduce. I'm going to just add power. Okay. I don't want to go above 100% torque. And we're going to climb at 180 knots. So we just need to go a couple more clicks on that. And the speed will reduce gradually, gradually, gradually. Or not. Let's go even further up. It is. Because we're pitching up now. Okay. And I'm not increasing the power. I just increased the power to a climb setting. So we've given it a nice high angle of attack. So the speed is coming down. It's at 180. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to press indicated airspeed mode. Set and checked, and the aircraft will now maintain 180 knots. It will manage the vertical speed by keeping the speed at 180. So as we climb, just make sure that we're not exceeding any settings on the gauges. We're all good. So we can do some more cleaning up. We should have done this earlier. So ignition can come off, auto feather can come off, and we can do prop sync. That can come on. So prop sync on, and this little fan will stop turning as the aircraft sets equivalent power settings on both engines, and it stops that resonant noise in the cabin. I'm going to center this indicator. As I said, there is a way to slave it, but I really never worked it out. So we're at 180 knots. See, it's keeping 180 knots. Climbing it at just over 2,000 feet per minute. Absolutely amazing, really. Right, so we can do some more tidying up. So we can do, taxi light should have come off a long time ago. Landing light, come off. Should we let them out their seats? It was quite bumpy. I think maybe we should. Oops, my system has frozen momentarily. There we go, it's come back. Let's let them out their seats. There we go. So, we shouldn't have any indicators on the panel here, the caution panel. And the pressurization we should check to make sure that it is climbing, and not indicating a climb here. So we're gonna just need to look at the yeah, there we go, it is pressurizing. It's pressurized, I should say. As long as that's on auto, cabin pressure, yeah, I think we're good. Right, press F to get back to the view. See, still 180. because we're on indicated airspeed mode. And that's the same as FLC, flight level change, in an airliner, jet airliner. So it maintains the airspeed, and it adjusts the rate of climb. You adjust the power, make sure it doesn't go through any, doesn't exceed any of the, the red bands. It stays within limits. So we can give it a little bit more oomph because we're only 90% torque. So I just put my throttles forward a bit more, and I don't want to go above 100. Just pull them back a tiny bit. There we go, 99. That's as close as I dare go. Okay, and it's given us a little bit more vavavoom on the climb rate. Pretty impressive, really. Okay, let's zoom out on the map. So we've seen the first island, Moorea. We're coming now to Huahine, but there's a while to go. And just zooming in on the map, you'll see here the banana. It's usually a green banana, and this one here is blue banana, and that shows you where you're going to reach the altitude that you got dialed in. Okay. And what's good about that is if you got vertical speed mode set, when we come to descend, you'll see this blue banana, and we need to position that blue banana so it'll be on Bora Bora, because we'll brief on the approach in a second, but that's a very handy tool to help you plan your descents. So what have we got out front? Probably not a lot. Vision jet. Altitude alert, so the aircraft will capture. We know it will because the altitude alerts come on. And as we approach, oops, we need to go to 1013. My bad. So you can see it reducing the rate of climb, and it'll get to 0 as we land on flight level 180. How good is that? Okay, so when it's leveled off, we'll go to cruise settings, and that basically is just pulling back the prop RPM a little bit so it's not quite so buzzy in the cabin. So just leveling off, 100 or so feet to go. We're doing a ground speed of 275 at the moment. That will increase even more. Pretty impressive, really, isn't it? Very capable, the KingAir. Doesn't take much to take off, and it can really go places. Alright, so we're now leveled off, and I'm just going to bring the prop RPM back a little bit, so both levers together at the same time, very slowly. Don't want to make too many noise changes because it alarms the passengers, so just bring them back just below 1600. And as you bring the prop back, the limiting factor is not the torque, it's the turbine temperature. Okay, that is now running nearly at 100. Okay, and we're not being very kind to the engine, so I'm just going to bring the power levers back, the throttles back. Okay, just to take the edge off. There we go, about 98. I could bring them back to 90, that would be still very decent cruising speed. 92, that'll do nicely. Okay, so we're doing a ground speed of 290 knots. Just slowing down a little bit because I brought the power back a little. That's pretty good, really, you know. Okay, so we can see the island of Huahine on our nose. Just going to move the map a little bit. There we go. Stop it. And when we get to Huahine, it's a left turn. And then we get to, I can't remember what that one's called. Let's have a look. Remind ourselves. So there's Huahine. It's a left turn to, oh yeah, there it is, Raiatea. And then we get to, we start the approach at Huahine, the star, and then we do the NDB. So we can get set up for that now. So let's have a look at the charts. This is the approach. Here's Huahine. So it'll be a westerly heading 253 to Ozpod, and then to Romeo Uniform, Raiatea. And then it's a northwesterly track 302 to Bora Bora, which is 384, NDB 384. We need to be at 4,000 feet. So let's get, so that's the star. Let's get the approach itself. Okay, so here's Bora Bora, so we'll be coming in from the east, overhead Bora Bora. It's outbound track 274, and we start the turn, I think it's 2.5, yeah, start the turn at 2.5 minutes. So we need the elapsed timer for that. So when we get overhead Bora Bora, start the clock, go out for 2.5 minutes, then we do a right turn, inbound 114, and descending to a minimum descent altitude of 1,080 feet, plus 50 feet of error correction, 1,130. So we need to get 384, and we need to be at Bora Bora at 4,000 feet. So let's dial this in and remember 4,000. So 384, 4,000. So I'm just going to center the map, pressing back button. There we go. And we'll zoom out a bit. What can we see? Oh, it's right down below our nose at the moment, but we will do an external view. So, of course, I can't remember what it was. It was 384. So we need to get 384 on the ADF. So there's the ADF. So we'll dial in 3, and this. So this outer knob does the first two digits. The first digit is 0. It's a blank. So we've got 384 we want. So we do the outer knob. So we keep dialing that, or we can hold it in till we get to 384. 384. There we go. And then we flip it. So we just move this lever up. So 384 is the active NDB dialed into the ADF, and then that will show here. But for it to show here, we need to have this number 1 set to from VOR to ADF. There we go, and it's already pointing at Bora Bora. So we are flight level 180. We need to go down to 4,000 feet. We've got to lose 14,000 feet. Now, the easiest way to do it is the 1 in 3 rule. Okay, so 14,000 feet we've got to lose. So we multiply that by 3. So 14, 28, 38, 42. Let's call it 45. Let's get the map up. Okay, let's get the star. So Huahine to Bora Bora. Let's find out how long this is. So that is 10 miles. That's 16.5. That's 26.5 miles. This here is 23.5 miles. So 26, that's 30, 40, 50. This is about 50 miles. Okay, so if we start a very gentle descent, maybe 1600 feet per minute. Okay, we should get to Bora Bora at 4,000 feet. So it's a 1 in 3 rule basically, and we descend at about 1800 feet per minute. Okay, now there are lots of utilities out there that you can use to actually tell you what your rate of descent will be based on how long it's going to take you, but then you need to work out your ground speed, the distances, and how long at your current ground speed it will take you to cover that distance, which is a heck of a lot more complex than just doing the 1 in 3 rule. Okay, so you look at the altitude you need to lose, multiply it by 3, and that's the distance that you need to start descending. We've worked it out to be about 42. We've rounded it up to 45. Okay, and we know that this distance here is 50. Okay, so 50 will do nicely. Okay, so instead of coming down at 1800 feet, we'll come down at 1600 feet, and we'll see how that pans out. So let's have a quick look outside and look at that. There's Verater. The airport is over here. Look at that, just stunning. The last time I came here, there was a lot of convective activity, lots of thunderstorms, and I was being buffeted around quite a bit, and that's where the weather radar, which works in the KingAir, really comes in handy. Look at that, just wow, isn't that beautiful? Bora Bora is over here. Somebody already parked at Bora Bora, I think. Look at that though, my goodness me, it's just like a picture, isn't it? But it is a picture. Okay, so we'll start a descent at Hotel November, and we've got 8 miles to run. We've got the Bora Bora NTTB showing, so that's pointing directly at Bora Bora. So yeah, there's a Vision Jet parked at Bora Bora, and we can start our descent when we get to Huahine. So we can just, what we can do now, we can just dial in 4,000. Remember, just press the altitude knob if you want to increment in hundreds. So 4,000 set and checked, and we will come down on vertical speed mode. So we'll press vertical speed and then the down button, and we want to come down to about 1600 feet per minute, so that's about 16 clicks of this or thereabouts. The needle will be roughly around here, and of course we're pointing downhill, so we'll be going faster, so we need to pull the power back. Okay, so we've got 2.5 miles to go. We just saw the GPS little red indicator there move, so I'm just going to align our needle with that. Good practice. And I'm going to align the heading bug as well, because we will be needing the heading bug. Okay, so we're past Huahine, so we go to vertical speed mode, and we do the down button about 16 times. There we go. So we're increasing the speed, so just going to pull the power levers back a little, not too much and not too quickly, because big power changes do alarm the passengers, so we want to make it nice and smooth. Okay, so with that in mind, we can look at that blue banana and see where it is showing we're going to arrive at 4,000 feet. Well, it's not quite on screen yet, is it? No, I don't know what's happening here. Let me zoom in a bit. basically the blue banana should be around here. Big circle somewhere around there, but I can't actually see it. So we'll just have to monitor it, okay? And we'll do that again using the 1 in 3 rule. I'm just going to bring the power back a little bit more because we're nearing the barber's pole, which is the never exceed speed. So just going to bring the power back, the torque back to, let's go for around 55, something like that. Okay, so we are now passing flight level 150. We need to get to 4,000. That is 11,000. 11 times 3 is 33. So let's have a look where we are. So 33 miles. We know that is 23 miles. And we know that this is 10 miles. So we should be near OSPOD. Let's have a look. OSPOD. Well, we're not far from OSPOD. We are 4 miles from OSPOD. So yeah, you know, our descent looks okay. If anything, I say we're coming down a bit too fast. So, and that's okay, because if we reduce our rate of descent, then our speed will diminish as well, because we don't want to go too fast. So I'm going to press the up button twice. There we go. So we've gone from 1600 to 1400. Okay, that will help our speed. And that's just leveled out our descent rate. So is the NDB pointing in the right direction? So it's the white, it's the yellow needle, which is wobbling around, which is one of the black box traits that made it so accurate. And that's how a real NDB needle would work. Then really a little fastidious. They do wobble around a bit. Right, so let's have a look at the chart. So our minimum descent altitude is 1080 plus 50, which is 1130. We want to go outbound on 274 for 2.5 minutes before turning right to come in on Bora Bora at 114 degrees. So let me set 274 initially on the heading bug. So 274 looks about right, like that. So Bora Bora, that yellow needle, should be out in our 2 o'clock. Ah, look at that. Exactly right. Okay, let's just check our rate of descent. We're passing 11,000, or flight level 110, and I think the transition here is 11,000. And we need to get to 4, so we've got to lose 7. 7 times 3 is 21. We should be 21 miles out from Bora Bora. So let's have a look at the here. We're just coming over Raiatea. We'll have a quick look outside in a second, and we know that that is 23 miles. So we're pretty good. Let's have a look outside. Look at that. And there's an island there as well. Airport. They've all got airports, pretty much. And you'll find a lot of these islands in Tahiti are. You've got downloads for them at flightsim.to. It's just beautiful, isn't it? Look at that. Let's get inside. That's where we need to be. So we're just passing. We've just gone through 10,000 feet, 10,000 feet, so we can get our landing lights on. We've strapped them in. We're very kind to them, but we'll strap them back in like, oi, get in your seats. Okay, and we've got landing lights on. Let's have a look. Now I think the landing lights on this are on the nose gear. I'm not quite sure, I can't remember. I think they are. So we are now pointing directly towards Bora Bora. There's the yellow needle directly in our 12 o'clock, and it is, look at that. Okay, how gorgeous, look at that. And there is an add-on somebody's uploaded for Bora, but actually there's quite a few, and it gives us all those lovely hotels with their beautiful, you know, huts over the water. You can see them now, some here and here and here, and there's some boats, and there's another add-on which improves the water masking, which I've got, and you can see the water masking is really exceptional. And there's another Bora Bora add-on which improves the rocks, because they're very famous, those rocks. They're very well recognised landmark, and they're not quite right in the basin. They're not bad, they're really not bad, but that just makes them a little bit better. So let's have a look. Passing 7,000 feet, we've got 3 to lose. 3 times 3 is 9. We should be 9 miles from Bora Bora. Let's have a look. So get the chart out. So we are, well, it's hard to know really because there's no DME. So maybe now is the time to really start slowing down. So I'm going to pull the power levers back. And if I get the warning horn, if you get the warning horn, gear warning horn, it's to silence it, it is here. And we need to press B to get the QNH, which of course we should look up, but I don't know what time it is in Tahiti, whether or not the ATIS is live. So I'm pressing B, and it's just saying it's 1013, so we'll stick with that. At the end of the day, we're not really flying IFR. Now let's have a look outside. So we've got those lovely huts, look at those huts, all the boat traffic, and look at those hills, look at that. It's exceptional, isn't it? Look. There's the airport. So let's have a look. You see how well that worked out? We're just about 4,000 feet, and we're just not far now. Going to zoom in on that. And we're going to go heading mode. So we're going to change, because we're just about overhead. Well, it's turning a little early, but I'll just wait for the needle to swing round. See the yellow needle? It's going to go to our right and then all the way back. And now we are past it. So we're going to go to heading mode. Now, one more thing, need to look at the chart. Go to the NDB chart. We need to descend to 1,800 feet. And we need to get the elapsed timer. So let's get the elapsed timer. And press a little button there. There we go. So 2.5 minutes. We need to descend to 1,800, and press the button. 1,800, and we're going to go 180 knots. That's good. And we're going to go down maybe 1,000 feet per minute, something like that. So we're now we've got the approach shown here on the GTN, but we're flying it old school, we're flying it manually. You can get charts on the GTN, and I do have them, but I've got them on screen as well. So we're flying on a heading of 274 pretty much. It's hard to tell really. And the NDB is directly behind us. And we're just coming up to 1800 feet. We've got 1500 to go. And the elapsed timer is 1 minute and 15. And we're looking for that to get to 2 minutes and 30. Which is what the chart said. Just to remind ourselves. Start turn at 2 minutes 30 seconds at 1800 feet. Okay, so 1000 to go. Got the altitude alert. Came up to 1 minute 50. The NDB is directly behind us. We're tracking that nicely. If there was a strong wind, we'd be pushed left or right of track and the needle would sway. Now it's just starting to edge to the left a little bit, but we're coming up to our turn, so we're not going to adjust things now. So coming down to 1800, and when we level off, I'm going to go and the speed settles down a little bit. I'm going to go flap 1. So 2 minutes and 30 is coming up. I'm going to hold the heading knob. Now I'm going to bring it round to the inbound track, which I can't remember. Let's have a look. Quick. 114. 114. Okay, 114. So moving the heading knob to 114, there's 100, 110, there's about 114 there. And if you look now, the NDB is pretty much on 114. Well, not quite, we're a bit early. We've just come left a bit. There we go, so flap 1. Gear can come down, and I'm looking for the needle now to go to 114. So it's just coming around very slowly. I'm going to give it a little bit of power. I don't want to go too slowly. Okay, so 140 on the speed, that's good for an approach. See that needle, the yellow needle? It's just coming around. Okay. Just coming around. No, we might not make it in time. Yeah, we're just a little bit right of track, but to be honest, that'll do nicely. I'm not really that worried with visual, and really that's all that matters. So we're going to hand fly the rest. Okay, we should start descending now if we were doing instrument flight rules down to 1130. But we're pretty visual, so autopilot coming off, and we're going to switch off the heading, the altitude. Let's just switch off everything. Yaw damper, there we go. I don't know how you switch the altitude. I don't want the flight director to fly visually, but okay, let's stick with that. So gear is down. Full flaps have gone. Okay, full flap we have, indicating. Only 2 stages in this. The aircraft's ballooned a little bit. Okay, and it's going to come left to intercept the extended centre line. There's a runway. I'm just drawing a line in my head like that. I'm going to intercept that line, and then I'm going to turn onto final track. Okay, so we can just start our descent. And we're keeping the speed around the blue line, which is the single engine speed, so we're good. And I'm still on the reduced prop setting, and I will bring that back up very soon, but I'll do it very gradually. So again, big changes in engine parameters and torque settings and prop settings, they tend to alarm passengers, so we don't want to make them too obvious. Okay, so we're just coming down to 1400 feet, very gradual rate of descent, 600, 700 feet per minute. Absolute thing of beauty, this. Okay, there we go, runway's in sight. We've pretty much intercepted that extended centre line, so we can now turn on to the runway heading, which is, what was it, what runway is it? 11. There we go. So runway 11. Okay. Right, so I've just arrested my rate of descent because we're getting quite low, we're 800 feet. So just trim the aircraft just to fly level a little bit. It's quite a long runway. They operate ATRs into Bora Bora, as they do in most of these island areas. But look at that, it's just a thing of beauty. Okay, so I'm going to bring the props fully forward now. I'm going to do it very gradually but positively. There we go, so props are now fully forward. And switch that altitude alert off, distraction. Okay, and then reduce a bit of power and start our final approach. Okay. And then we'll use a little bit of reverse when we're on the ground. So speed is getting a bit low, okay, so I'm just going to put the nose down a little bit to gain speed, and also power up to reduce our rate of descent. There we go. Okay. The decision light has come on, but we're not worried about that. We didn't set that anyway. That's probably on the default setting. So keeping that runway threshold, same place in the windscreen, and on turboprops you land with a little bit of power on. That's the best technique. There we go. Right, reducing to idle, and I've got reversers on. No, I haven't. There we go, reversers on now. Okay. Lovely. So, welcome to Bora Bora. We see the wind just straight down the runway. I like it like that. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick U-turn here on the runway and taxi back. Okay, so normally we wouldn't clean up until we're off the runway, but the runways here are rough, you know, might be lots of debris, so I'm just going to bring the flaps up. Do that now. Flaps coming up, and transponder can come off altitude reporting, landing light can come off, taxi light can come on, and we'll keep the strobe light off just for a millisecond more until we get off the runway. On the other side of the hold, but there's no one else around apart from Vision Jet. So we get here, other side of the hold, just going to come to complete stop. Let's do our after landing checks. So strobe light can come off, and what have we got here? Auto feather off, or the auto feather. Now I forgot to put the auto feather on and the ignition on. Now that's really bad. Okay, that's very poor chip. That should have been on for our approach and landing. In case we lost an engine, the engine we lost, it would have automatically feathered. That's very bad, and I'm very apologetic that I did that. And I've got a number for me to call. So my apologies. I thought I did that though. Goodness. Oh well. That's very bad actually. But anyway, it just means I would have had to feather the propeller manually. So I'm just going to come to a stop. Wait. GSX, honestly, it's got a mind of its own. Let's move away from him. Let's go to this other parking stand here. Not that I can see it now in the aircraft there. Try and get away from that truck. We'll go to the parking stand here. We'll go to B. Bravo. Just using a little bit of differential throttle, a bit more right throttle than left to help me turn these corners. Okay, and the reason I was having trouble taxiing there is, of course, I haven't brought my condition levers to low idle, which I should have done. I should have brought them back to low idle, and then it would have been a lot easier to taxi. But heck, okay, 2 mistakes, short flight, well, probably 24 mistakes, I would imagine, knowing my track record. Taxi light can come off, and let the engines just settle down, and I think we're all good, so we can just bring the right engine to cut off. Fuel pump can come off, and number 1 engine to cut off, and fuel pump to cut off. Okay, so they should be both powering down. There we go. Any second now, in your own time. Oh, he stopped, and he should stop. Okay. So, welcome to Bora Bora. We can let them out of their seats. They want to go swimming. Let's not tell them they're sharks here. Right, so beacon light can come off, nav light can come off, pitot heat, they should have been non-essential items that we should have switched off when we went the other side of the hold. And other than that, I think we're all good. Inverters can come off, avionics power can come off, generators can come off, geosets can come off, battery can come off. So that is how you don't fly a KingAir, or that's how you fly a KingAir according to me. Whichever one of the above you prefer. So, welcome to Bora Bora. Let's have a quick look outside, because its place is just a thing of beauty. Look at that. Look at that. A big old airport, really. But it is one of the major tourist hotspots for Tahiti, French Polynesia. I hope you've enjoyed your flight, and I'll see you all on the next one, wherever that might be and whenever it might be.